Hey guys, so for my thesis idea, I want to conduct a study just on the homeless population in Knoxville, just in order to show how important occupational therapy can be for this population, especially in the area of mental health. Um, so for step one, conducting a preliminary analysis. Um, for the first question, asking if this study will serve a currently underserved need. Yes, it will definitely serve an underserved need. The homeless population in Knoxville and all across the country is completely underserved in the healthcare arena, but especially with occupational therapy. Occupational therapy is kind of making its way into it, but there are tons of mental illnesses that go um, unnoticed and untreated in the homeless population. So, yes. Um, does the practice or study slash project serve an existing market in which demand exceeds supply? Yes, like I said above, the demand for occupational therapy in the area of mental health definitely does exceed the supply. There really isn't much supply right now of that. Remember the third question: can the practice or study slash project successfully compete with existing practices or studies? Um, I think it can personally, just because it's like I said, it's so under the homeless population is so underserved. And then with availability, I actually volunteer with a homeless organization here in Knoxville, and so I have availability and access to a bunch of different homeless individuals, many of whom come on a consistent basis, so I can actually provide like services for specific individuals and then see if they approve, and not have to worry about them not coming back. So I think I do have an edge, especially with this study. Um, our capital requirements require our capital requirements for entry or continuing operations of unavailable or unaffordable. I don't think so. I mean, we don't really need that much money to conduct this study. It would just basically be me going out there and figuring out what's wrong with them, and then um, providing some interventions and seeing like if those actually help. Um, does your study require capital expenditure requirements? No, it doesn't. Um, do any factors prevent effective marketing or real world impact to any or all referral sources or recipients of your new knowledge? Um, Not that I know of. I know that like getting proper funding for this population might be a little tough just because they don't have insurance. They might qualify for Medicaid. So, but outside that, I don't think there'll be any issues. For step two, there isn't a really revenue needed for this study, so I just said NA for that one. Step three, conduct a market survey. So for the geography, how it affects these individuals, Knoxville thankfully is kind of a milder climate, which explains why the homeless population is so large here. So during the winter, it doesn't get too cold, so these individuals don't have to worry about freezing out there when they're on the streets. It does get a little hot during the summer, which can be tough sometimes for them, but usually they're able to find shade under bridges and stuff here in the city. Um, so yeah, like it is a pretty ideal city for homeless individuals, and yeah. Second question. Um, so this population really has no purchasing power just because they are homeless and they don't have really any money to purchase or spend on any types of services or like assistive devices or anything. So they rely heavily on government assistance and handouts from the community. So yeah, and this is why they're unable to afford like rehab or find rehab for that matter. Finding proper funding for this population, like I said above, would be the biggest issue. Some of these individuals may qualify for Medicaid, but also some of them may not. So it just depends on that. And so that would probably be something that I'd have to like flesh out. Maybe talk to some other individuals who have dabbled in this, like providing services to homeless individuals, just to figure out like how they did it, how they were able to like get funding to do that so that they could actually be paid. So that would be the biggest issue, I think, with this study and from going further on from here. So sources of referral, there really wouldn't be any sources of referral just because most of the time these people are living alone and they don't know that they have an issue mentally, like mental health wise. So we would either have to go to them where they are in the like on the streets or like where I volunteer at the church, or we'd have to like treat them very briefly and basically while they are in like the hospital. Like if say they come in for like an overdose or like an injury or something like that, finding time to treat them then. So that would be like the another like difficulty. So what I'm hoping to see from this study are two different things. Is the first being how underserved this population is and how much mental illness is going unseen and undetected in this population. That's first. And then second, how providing occupational therapy and basic services to these individuals, very basic services to the individuals, could drastically improve their chances of getting off the streets and recovering from these mental illnesses. So those are the two main things I'm hoping to see from this. Step 4, planned business organization and operations. So for physical space and location requirements, there's really not much of any of that. I could, if I wanted to, like provide these services, just like go to them out on the streets and do that. But I also have the church that we volunteer at here in Knoxville, so that would have plenty of like whatever I need there. And so then equipment outside of that like the only equipment I could see myself needing is maybe a survey that I like write up and have them fill out. Otherwise, I'm going to be trying to provide interventions and like helpful like things to do for them that consist of like things they already have, so that they don't have to go out and buy things or find funding. So I'm going to try to use what they already have available to them, so I won't need any equipment, which makes it simpler. Step 6, review and analyze all the data. I think this plan is achievable in the time frame I have. And yeah, some difficulties we might run along like client factor wise, maybe like people refusing to be part of this, or also just like forgetting to show up or forgetting how to do these interventions that I may give them to do on their own. And then also there's always a chance of them like leaving to like go somewhere else across the country or something. Homeless individuals sometimes leave like for seasons at times, so I may have somebody that I like start my study with, and then somewhere along the way they leave to go somewhere like cooler or warmer, whatever. And so the final step, is there a commitment to make the necessary sacrifices in time and effort? Yes, I believe that I can do all of this in an achievable time frame. Will the activity partially satisfy long-term aspirations? I think so. Even though it might be like a smaller study, I think that it can provide very valuable evidence to continue this intervention approach and possibly open a door for more occupational therapy in the homeless population. Does this preliminary feasibility study look like it may support your thesis project? Definitely does. And so what I learned from this feasibility study is that my idea is feasible in the time frame I have, and like money wise and all of that. Relatively simple study in those aspects. And also, I hadn't really thought about like the funding for these services. I knew that it might be hard to find some, but I didn't really look deep into it. And it is good to see that like Medicaid could cover this for people who have that. I didn't really think of that. But then those who don't have Medicaid, that's going to be something I have to like dig a little deeper into and talk to some other people. But I do think it is possible, even if they don't have Medicaid, just through advocating for the homeless population, which we are trained to do. And so based off my analysis, this study is a go for me. All right, thank you.